Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to the channel. My name is Hart for those of you that are new. And today I'll be breaking down this two-game NBA slate here on DraftKings, kind of talking through my favorite plays, some value plays, how to get different, how to attack this slate, my core plays, as well as an early look build for you guys here for this two-game slate tomorrow. As always, make sure to stay updated with the injury news, hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get right into it. And slightly before we do it, just kind of want to recap tonight. Very annoying night. We had a ton of injury news. It kind of fell. The chips fell our way of how we wanted to attack the slate, and the correct way to attack it was to um, obviously the little mellow ball. Everyone kind of went there. He was actually like 60% owned in my single entry. But yeah, the core plays for me personally were in my Patreon as well was LaMelo Ball, 50 bomb there, which was very very solid. Even though that game was kind of a blowout the whole time. Um, Tyler Hero, who was off to a fantastic start there, he was only 2% owned. He hurt his ankle, did not return after the first quarter. Very frustrating stuff there. Kelly O, who was about 30% owned, he's a point per minute guy, and then he had massive minutes in the first half, 15 minutes in the first quarter there. Um, and yeah, or excuse me, 15 minutes in the first half. So on pace to see 30 minutes. He's a point per minute guy. He was averaging like 0.25 fantasy points per minute. He was just absolutely busted for no reason. Very frustrating, but that was the correct play. And then I said the fourth thing was to build around the fact that Anthony Davis could get ruled out, and that's massive news. And that's what happened. He got ruled out. It was massive news. Not nearly enough people, played for the fact that that could happen, and they got bailed out by a 25-point blowout to the Rockets. Very frustrating stuff. And also the Pelicans, they were good plays, but obviously there was a blowout risk there going against the Timberwolves, who have actually been really, really good. That game blew out as well, and a lot of those guys aren't paying off. I luckily avoided that, but at the same time, I played the Lakers guys, played three Lakers guys. Christian Wood got the starting nod. The dude is that's all he can do is play offense, and he had one shot in 22 minutes. I mean, the game's still going on, and I don't know if he's taking another shot. It's just wild stuff. The public got absolutely bailed out by those low ownership for the Lakers guys and a 25-point blowout to the Rockets. But anyways, I digress. Let's get to this two-game slate for tonight. But if you want to be a successful and long-term, DFS player that makes money over time, you want to build around the fact that late news like that could happen. And if it does, you're going to get guys at very low ownership. And if it does work out, you're going to be winning a lot of money. Always doesn't work out, like tonight, for example, with the Lakers, but that's how you kind of want to build your lineups, especially for massive slates like that, where you can get guys at super, super low ownership at very cheap price tags as well. But for this game here, Milwaukee versus Indiana, Milwaukee is playing tonight. Giannis got ejected. He's having a solid game there, but overall, the Bucks have been god awful the past 2 weeks since the first few games there. So, absolutely love Giannis in this matchup. Feels a little bit too cheap. Now, overall, he is the most expensive player on the slate. Not like too many pay up options here. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what his ownership comes in at. But I absolutely love Giannis in this matchup. Still have yet to see like a classic Giannis game. That last game versus Brooklyn was pretty solid there, 36, 12, 3 and 2. Usually we kind of see from Giannis, but as you can see, his point per game is way down there to 45 and a half. At 10-7, that's not the best price tag to pay for that kind of production. And obviously, it does not help having Damian Lillard there, who's taking a lot of usage away, but still, absolutely love this price tag as a pay up option here for Giannis on this slate. Let's go kind of team by team. Dame Lillard, 9.5. I think he'll just be a very contrarian option there at 9.5. Not a lot of people will go to him. I mean, he has great upside. It's just one of those things. Hasn't really flashed it yet. 41 and a half, 5 of 15, 9,200. Not the best. So I do think most people will glaze over him. And I do think we can get him a great low ownership. Moving on to Middleton here. He was out tonight. I'm assuming he'll be back tomorrow. And he's still been on a mental limit, about 21 now. 23 is probably what he's going to be at, unless we get news that it's bumped up. So still no interest in him, even at the price tag of 6,200. Brooke Lopez is always kind of a dart throw guy. So if you land on him, I don't mind it. He has massive upside, as you can see in that game versus the Knicks. 8 blocks, almost a 40 bomb there, but he does have a pretty low floor with the addition of Lillard. Portis, priced about right. His minutes are kind of all over the place, 17 to 25 minutes is kind of his range. A very good point per minute guy, but the minutes are just kind of the question mark there. So I don't mind landing him. Kind of my third favorite play there behind Dame and Giannis. Beasley's there. He'll see shots, he'll see minutes. Minutes are up and down as well. Nothing too crazy there. I wouldn't go out of my way to play him. I'd rather take a shot on a guy like Crowder, who played, who started for Middleton tonight, but he'll move back to a bench role. So I do think that price is a little bit elevated for a guy who, should see low 20s minutes. Same thing with Connaughton. He'll see low 20 minutes as well. So I'd probably rather get to Connaughton over Crowder, but they're both fine. Campaign will be kind of the backup point guard. I just don't think you need to get to him. Moving on to Indiana here. Tough matchup, but still, Tyrese Halliburton has been fantastic, as you guys can see here. So I don't mind, the 10K price tag, but not my favorite as of right now. I'd rather get to Dame, even though he's been wildly way more inconsistent compared to Halliburton. Turner has massive upside. It's just one of those things, not the best matchup here. Very, very foul prone. So I do think his ownership will be kind of low here at 7,100. Not the best price tag. There's that foul trouble risk guarding, Giannis and Brook. But if he's going to be very, very low owned, I do like the upside there with Turner. Healed, once again, minutes are all over the place. Don't love that price tag for him for a guy whose, minutes aren't a guarantee right now. Bruce Brown seems about priced up. He's a fine play. It's just these Pacers. They just play a ton of shooting guards and small forwards where they all get a ton of minutes. The minutes have not been great on any of them so far. And so it doesn't feel good landing on any of these guys. I'm sure one of them will have a good game. Bruce Brown probably feels the safest, followed by Mathurin. But still, they're running, all these guys plus Jalen Smith plus Obi Toppin. So I continue to say it, but I think Jalen Smith's probably my favorite option, even though he's only seen like 20, 21 minutes per game. But yeah, there's just a lot too much. It's way too crowded of a front court there for the Pacers. They got to trade some people. I'm assuming Buddy Hield will get traded pretty soon there. And then for Atlanta and Orlando, I think I'd rather target this game. A lot of good pieces here. Trae Young does feel too cheap, especially on a 2-game slate here. Hasn't had a pop-off game yet, shooting the ball pretty poorly to start off the season, but we know he has massive upside there, especially with the double-doubles. So I really, really like Trae Young here in this matchup. Even though, the Magic are decently, solid at defending. DeJounte Murray, kind of like a Dame play. He'll be relatively low owned. As you can see, he's been very consistent in the past, 4 games, 40 or more in 4 straight. Does have upside there. Can't really expect 41. He shot the ball extremely well, but he's very aggressive when he's out there, can get assists and can get rebounds. So I think he's a pretty strong play there at 8.2. I'd say a little bit overpriced, but still pretty strong. Jalen Johnson's finally getting priced up. As you can see, his massive upside, 42 and then 45. He's just a super high energy guy. Can get, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, points, you name it. He has it. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he should still probably see 30 plus minutes. So 6,300 does feel expensive for Jalen Johnson, but he's been very, very productive, kind of like Asar Thompson. That's kind of their roles right now. So I do like him a lot. Clint Capella, more so if a contrarian play there at that price tag. Just hasn't seen about 30 minutes yet this season. So it kind of seems like they're really rolling with, going to a Kungu off the bench there, keeping Capella under 30 minutes. So I probably would not take a shot at him at 5,700 with that hard limit right now, even though it's not official, but they've kind of kept him on it, as you guys can see from his box score. And with these, forwards for the Hawks, once again, it's kind of like the Indiana Pacers where they'll play like 4 to 5 forwards. They have Jalen Johnson, they have Hunter, they have Bogdan, they have Sadiq Bey. And it's one of those things where any of them can go off in a single game, sometimes 2 of them in the same game. I'd feel the safest with Bogdan just because he's more of a playmaker. He is aggressive when he's out there. Minutes are, relatively safe. He should see 20 plus. So he'd probably be my favorite play there at 4,400. Sadiq Bey is probably the question mark of them all. He's been doing a lot better recently. He got off to a kind of a poor start, did lose his starting job, but now he's coming off the bench. He's been more aggressive and pretty solid. So I do like him and Bogdan the most. Hunter probably will be the lowest owned of the group. He's, starts, sees the most minutes, can have those random pop-off games, but I think I'd rather take a shot on Bogdan and Bey. And Okongwu, I'll mention him, 4,200, very, very cheap. He's seeing really, really good minutes right now, and he's a super, super productive guy if he can stay out of foul trouble. So I'm assuming he'll be very, very popular at that price tag, but it's hard to argue, his efficiency and his upside right now, even though his minutes aren't, fully guaranteed, and he's very, very foul prone. And then moving on to Orlando here. For the Orlando side, Paolo and Franz have been very, very good with, Fultz being out. They both had some huge games there, 2 50-point games for Paolo, 41 and a 40-point game there for Franz. So they really, really get elevated when there is no Fultz because the offense runs through both of those guys. And they're kind of like point forward. So I think they both come in at pretty strong price tags. Now, if Fultz is back, it does kind of limit their ceiling a little bit in terms of their playmaking ability. But still, I think they're very strong plays here on this 2-game slate just because the offense does run through both of them a lot. Cole Anthony kind of seems priced about right. He'll come off the bench. He's kind of a flamethrower there. If he can hit his shots, he should be pretty, pretty solid there. But getting him at his most expensive price tag on the slate, 6K. So I think he's a solid play. Now, something you have to go out of your way to play. Wendell is out, so they have been starting Goga, who saw 26 minutes, and then obviously in a blowout there, did lose some minutes, but saw 22. Relatively productive, pretty foul prone guy, but nothing too crazy on the Atlanta side that should make us worry about foul trouble as of right now. So if he starts again, I think he's a really, really solid player there at 5'4". The minutes aren't always guaranteed with him. They will play more Mo Wagner, who did see 26 minutes there. They'll play him kind of split minutes there in the center position. So I think they're both fully in play. It really comes down to ownership for me between the both of them. Goga is probably a little bit safer, but Mo is probably a little bit better of an offensive player. I do have interest in Suggs. Has not been efficient at all. Been very, very bad, but he's been good at rebounds and assists and getting some steals. So it really just comes down to can he hit the shots. And if he can, they'll extend his minutes. Otherwise, they'll keep him in the low 20s. And that's kind of the worry with him there. But I do think he's a little bit safer than Cole Anthony. If more people are going to go to Cole Anthony, I'd rather take a shot on Suggs or Fultz, who, if he's back and he's not on minutes limit, if he sees a normal allotment of minutes, I mean, he has huge upside. Haven't seen it yet this season, but if he's back and not on minutes limit, I really, really like Fultz there at their price tag, 5,100. Definitely feels way too cheap. Mentioned Mo Wagner, pretty solid play. Anthony Black he's been starting, so he saw 30 minutes in that, 2 games ago, and then 33 minutes in that last game versus Dallas. He's, I wouldn't say productive. He's more so one of those guys where he just kind of runs the offense a little bit. He'll get rebounds, assists. As you can see, he's not very aggressive at all. 6 shot attempts when he started the first game, 7 in that last game there, which it's pretty annoying because you want him to be more aggressive there. So I think he's a fine play when he starts at 44.3K if there's no Fultz. Now, if he doesn't start, Fultz is back. I don't think there's a need to get to him. I'd rather get to him, obviously if there's no Fultz because he'll start. And he just hasn't been that aggressive. So I think he's a okay play even if he does start and there's no Fultz. But obviously, if there is Fultz, no interest in Anthony Black. Isaac's questionable, but it looks like he should be good to go. He's been seen around, 11, 12 minutes. Nothing too crazy there. He usually is a decently productive guy, but just not seeing a ton of minutes right now. Now, if there is, obviously window out, I do think, Isaac, there could be a case for him to see closer to 15, maybe 20 if, Goga or Mo gets in foul trouble. They don't have a ton of bigs off the bench. And, Isaac is usually a pretty productive guy. So if you're looking for an absolute dart throw, I don't mind going to Jonathan Isaac there at 3,600 if he's good to go and if he's back. Ingles, old man on the team here. I mean, he's been seeing decent minutes, but as you can see, not aggressive at all. I just don't think there's a need to take a shot on him at 3,500. And Gary Harris is still out. So obviously that just makes a little bit of a minutes bump to those guards above. And that's really, it's there. Chuma, they really haven't dusted him off yet. And then Caleb Houston, they did dust him off a little bit, but nothing too crazy there. No need to dive down into that range. So to fill out this lineup here, I do like going to Trey Young there. Let's put him in the point guard spot. And then just individually, we'll go to the Indiana side. I do like getting the Turner, but let's just flip back over to Atlanta real quick here. I do like going to Bogdan at that price, 4,400. Throw him in there. Utility. Do like Okongwu. So I do like loading up on these Atlanta guys. They definitely feel way too cheap here at their price tags. And then moving on to Orlando here. Paolo's been really, really strong, so I like throwing him into my lineup as of right now. Who else do we got here? I mean, if Fultz is back, I do like Fultz at that price tag, and if he's not on minutes limit, so I will throw him in for right now. Obviously, stay updated with the news there. 6,300 left over. Let's see if we can get to Giannis. He should be easily the best play to play on this slate. So we'll move. Let's just move Giannis to the forward here. Obviously, you can rearrange it how you want. Obviously, it makes more sense to put the guys in the beginning games in the slots that lock earlier, and then keep your guard forward and utility for the later game. Just in case if someone gets ruled out, you can kind of switch around a little bit more ease there. But yeah, 100 left over. Not too crazy there, but it will allow us to potentially take some dart throw plays if we wanted to run this lineup. Nothing too crazy there for a forward. So let's see if we can pay down a little bit more for utility to kind of pay up for that small forward spot. So for utility, if you wanted to, you could definitely go that Jonathan Isaac route. Not really suggesting it, but I think right now I'll throw in Pat Connaughton. So we'll throw Pat in here. Should see low 20s minutes. And then for the utility spot here, let's throw in Sadiq Bey. I like that. Or you can go to Jalen Smith, whose minutes aren't as good, but he's been pretty productive. But right now, actually, let's just go with Jalen Smith right now. Maybe Turner gets in foul trouble. That would lead to more minutes for a guy like Jalen Smith. So yeah, this is the early look lineup. Obviously, we kind of have to wait for some news here. Jonathan Isaac, Markel Fultz, Middleton. Maybe he's not on miss limit, or maybe they bump it up to 25-30. Wendell. Yeah, it looks like he's out for a while, so we don't have to worry about that news. But yeah, that is kind of news for the slate. Early look build. As always, if you want an in-depth breakdown and my updated core plays, make sure to check out my Patreon link down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.